Okay, so good evening. This is Barbara. I'm known as the East Coast Dragon Lady. This is Dragon Hour. Thank you all of you that have signed up that aren't here with us, and those of you that did come, thank you very much. This is only the second Dragon Hour, but I feel like I've been doing it for a long time. So last month we had Lisa Thompson, and I think everybody enjoyed that. So I'm really excited to introduce you to Alan Kryger. He's going to be talking with us about Dragon Reiki, actually Pendragon Reiki, which is something I'm really interested in, and I've been learning a lot from other people. So I am going to hand over to Alan. If you haven't already, can you make sure you mute yourselves, please? Say this is recorded, and I will get it out to you in the next few days. Okay, so Alan, over to you.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Barbara. I just wanted to start by saying, thank you to everybody who's here tonight. I'm very grateful for your time and your space. And very big thank you to Barbara again. This is a wonderful platform, and she is doing some wonderful work in the energies, the ethers. The work that she does definitely does not go unnoticed, and we're very thankful for her. So tonight, it's a beautiful Thursday. We're going to be learning a little bit more about Pendragon. So if you can see up here in the top right corner, that is the emblem for Pendragon Reiki. We'll talk about the background here behind me. These are some wonderful mists that we're going to be working with later tonight. I do have a small slideshow, just a few things on there to kind of point us in the right direction for where we're going to go tonight. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Let me just get the slideshow. All right, and everybody can see this still okay? I got thumbs up for the screen. Awesome, beautiful. Well, thank you again for everybody being here tonight. This is a real honor for me. Pendragon Reiki is very close and dear to my heart. It's something that I'm honored to hold space for myself, as well as other individuals who are all working with their own healing journeys, our own soul's journey, to bring us here tonight, to join together and to learn about, dragon energy. It's a beautiful thing. What a beautiful world that we live in. So I'm very thankful again to speak to Pendragon Reiki, to all of you as individuals. And I would again tell everybody, this is a very safe space. This is a safe space for your energy. This is a safe space for your healing. I would recommend that you take what resonates tonight. If there's something that really speaks to you and calls to you, that's great. Lean into that. What you can discover with Pendragon Reiki may be really beautiful. It might interest you immensely. It might not at all. And those things are okay. If there's something that doesn't resonate tonight, you can leave it where it is, and that's completely fine. So we'll just move into a little bit more. So talking a little bit about my background and my journey, just to give everybody a little bit of context. I'm 32 years old. I'm a bit of a younger healer, I would say, but I'm very thankful to have gotten to where I am now as a healer. As it comes to dragons, I've always been very infatuated and very much, I'd say very much in love with dragons since I've been a very young boy. My mother used to read me many different dragon books growing up. I always used to love the dragon TV shows. As I started to grow older, loved to draw dragons, color, the coloring books, you name it, anything dragon, I usually had it in my hands most of the time. As I started to grow into my teens, kind of started to lean away from the dragon area a little bit more just because sports, things like that, young men get into things that tend to distract them. As I started to grow and started to experience more challenges in life, I think that's really where I started to lean into more of the questions of what other options are there. I've always been a very athletic individual. Sports and physical outlets have always been a very easy thing for me to reach for when I've gone through troubles or difficulties in my life. But there's other things like the emotions, the mentality, being a young man, that you need different tools. Being a young individual, you need different tools to help yourself in those cases. As I grew and wanted to discover those different modalities or different resources, I kind of turned into looking at energy healing as a potential platform to reach into. I was going through some very challenging times, as many of us do in our lives. Losses, challenges, but I really knew that I needed to ask for help, and that was where it started for me. I was really fortunate. I live in the Rochester, New York area. For those of you that don't know where I am located, that's where I live. I was able to reach out to a wonderful energy healer, and that was really where my energy healing path started. This was 2000, right at the end of 2018, right at the beginning of 2019 in that area. So we were creeping up right into COVID. And that's really kind of where I was first introduced to dragons. I remember it because it was a very miserable week for Alan. I actually just received COVID for the first time. So I was very sick, very under the weather, was not feeling myself. And I was feeling pretty down. And the most peculiar thing had happened to me. It was probably about a half a week into me having COVID. And it was a particularly beautiful morning. I do remember that. And I was sitting there with a small cup of coffee, and all of a sudden I had someone whisper in my ear, "Open your hand." So I didn't really know what to do. And I just kind of placed my hand out in front of me. And all of a sudden, just at the snap of a little finger, I had a little green dragon pop into my hand. And it was the cutest little thing. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. I've never seen a dragon up to that point in my life. I'd never really felt their presence up to that point either, other than, my infatuation for them as I was growing up. This little green dragon was like, "Can you please put me underneath your nose?" And I listened, and I brought him up to my nose, and he shot little flames right up through both of my nostrils. And it was kind of a small gesture, I believe, into wanting me to feel better and helping me with going through, being sick with COVID. It was not fun, but that little green dragon certainly made it much, much easier moving forward. So that was really my first introduction to dragons on that energy healing path. That was really a beautiful experience for me, and it really intrigued me. I knew that this was new and exciting, and I wanted to learn more. So I had the opportunity to do a little research and started reaching out to other individuals who had had similar or different experiences with meeting dragons. And I was introduced to some pretty amazing individuals. So that's a little bit more about my background and my journey to where I am now, and also the meeting with dragons. So after I had met my first green dragon and helped me, getting over the sickness of COVID, I started to get this influx of different dragons, almost at a rate that I wasn't really expecting. It was like every single day I was receiving, "Oh, wow, this new dragon's here, and this is what they're going to help me with." Or, "Oh, wow, this dragon's here, and they just, want to be here for the day, and then they're going to be gone tomorrow." But they didn't really have a schedule, but they were just, kind of in and out constantly. So it was a really exciting time for me, being a young boy now growing and seeing dragons and feeling their presence in a different way was really new and exciting for me. Being an energy healer, I had been certified in another modality right at the beginning of 2018. And then after that, getting into COVID, and that's where my introduction to dragons started. That really turned me into thinking about, can I do some other work here? Is there something else I'm being called to? Is there something else that's pulling me in this direction? What's the reason here? And that's really where I was introduced to Pendragon Reiki and Kieran Morgan. Kieran Morgan is an amazing individual. He is one of the speakers for the Dragon Thunder Summit. He did a nice recording for everybody. He has been working with dragon energy, I would say, for about the past 20 years. But the inception of Pendragon Reiki, that was recently, I believe it was 2016 or 2017. Kieran really started that from the ground up and built that into what it is now, as the energy healing modality that is Pendragon Reiki. And like all Reikis, that origin of Usui Reiki is really where that started and has the same principles around it. Pendragon Reiki is a hands-off healing modality, so you do not need to be in the same room or place your hands upon the individual that you're working with. So I find that to be extremely beneficial. There are no limitations, when it comes to time and distance. We can always connect with the Pendragon energy. As you look to the left here on the screen on the slideshow, that symbol in the middle of the screen, that is the Pendragon's eye symbol. So that symbol was given to Kieran Morgan as he was channeling and working with the aspect of Merlin, the Merlin, from what Kieran has explained to me. And he has a really wonderful story of how he was introduced to Merlin and that relationship that was built and the messages that he was receiving to create this energy healing platform. It's a really beautiful story, and he shares it at a couple different places. He has a wonderful chapter, and I did bring the book so people could see it. This is the Energy Healers Oracle. I'm going to see if I can get this on the screen. If not, it's always interesting with these screens. There it is. So this is the Energy Healers Oracle. This book recently just came out. He has an amazing chapter in this book. If you haven't read this book, it's a great tool, has many different energy healing modalities in there. And again, I can type this in the chat before we get done today, but it is called the Energy Healers Oracle Tools for Total Transformation. It's by Angela Ora Medway Smith. She is a wonderful energy healer and teacher for many of us. So we can talk more about that, and I can always put that in the chat and information as well. A little bit more about Pendragon. So the symbol that you see there on the screen, that is one of the symbols that we do use in Pendragon Reiki. The symbol is really essential for clearing negative energy. That's what we use this symbol for. The symbol itself has a few different aspects to it. There's actually 9 different dragons that are all protecting different points of this symbol. This symbol actually, when activated, will turn into the Merkaba, or that light body. You can see it's hard to, it's not a dodecahedron, it might be, but there's 9 different points to that symbol as it expands and is created energetically. So the elements are really essential for Pendragon Reiki. And when I say elements, I'm talking about things like earth, water, air. We're going to be diving into elements of light and shadow. There's also aspects of change, love, and those things, interchangeably, change and love and change. Those are 2 aspects that work really, really synonymously and synchronistically together. So there are a lot of different beautiful elements that are the foundation of Pendragon Reiki, and that's why I truly believe it is so healing and powerful. We're all connected to those elements. There are other levels of Pendragon Reiki. So Kieran has established a level 1, a level 2. He is currently working on the level 3 and master's certifications for Pendragon Reiki. He works very diligently on creating those healing modalities and the symbols that are used, the procedures, and also the intention behind those symbols and what they're really meant to be doing. So again, this symbol is really focused on clearing, blockages that were ready to be released, for our higher self, for the good of all and to harm none. That's really the symbol and its representation. Working with the dragons, as we move down into that section, working with the dragons now, I'll give you a little bit of a different context, because I do also work with dragons slightly separately from the Pendragon aspect. Pendragon Reiki is one of the modalities that I use. I also do a modality that is called, or I also practice a modality that's called integrated energy therapy. The other work that I do with the dragons, I do work with clearing and cleansing ley lines. The dragon lines are also referred to as song lines. So these are conscious grids that are connected to Mother Gaia and the consciousness of our reality. We're all connected to that. The first time I ever, this was not too long after I was first introduced to the several dragons that were kind of introducing themselves very rapidly. I was driving my truck, maybe the 2nd or 3rd week after I'd gotten sick from COVID. And I just remember a very large red dragon flying above my truck with me. And I was like, well, this is new. And it was very exciting and beautiful, but then it felt as though there was a sense of responsibility. It was like, wait, you're flying with me for a reason. And there was very much the affirmative nod. Yes, I am, Alan. We have work to do. So from that point forward, I was really intuitively nudged to work with clearing ley lines. And dragons don't always work with ley lines. they often worked with dragon lines and the song lines. So I felt it very important to listen to that intuitive nudge to continue working and clearing those ley lines when I felt it necessary, or whenever I travel. It seems to be the most frequent time when they do show up to do that kind of work. So most of the time it's four wheels, but if I ever get in an airplane, I can tell you it's a very, very different experience flying in an airplane with dragons, doing some ley line work. So those are some other areas of work that I do as well with dragons. I do also work a lot with the animal kingdom, more along the lines of shepherding animal souls that have been passed and deceased. I do some work with animal spirits. The dragons are always in that position to help guide them, especially animals that have been killed very quickly, specifically roadkill, things like that. If I'm passing those animals as I drive, it's a very instinctive thing for me to begin to hold safe space for them to be able to move forward on that journey that they're going through. So that was a new aspect of working with dragons, and they're very helpful in that regard. And one thing I'll remind everybody is, we're all different. As healers, we all have our own flavor of healing. That's kind of what I've referred it to. We're all going to have different aspects that we are able to contribute to with our skills and with our experiences in life. It's what makes us who we are as healers. And I think it's really important to remember that your gifts and how you work with dragons or your other healing modalities is completely great. There is nothing that's going to stop you from being that most authentic you. And that's what I lean into when I work with the dragons. I have to be myself. I don't need to be like Kieran Morgan or any other healer in the world. I need to be Anna Kryger. And that's something that I always remind myself when I work with the dragons. So that's really the introduction here. And I was hoping to give a good background so everybody kind of had an understanding of where I came from and how I started working with Pendragon Reiki. Now, before we get into anything else, this is just some housekeeping for the next duration of the session. What I was going to offer tonight would be a guided meditation to meet our dragon familiar and also to receive some healing. So if that is something that is of interest of you tonight, this is a wonderful space to do that and connect with your dragon. For those of you that have connected with your dragon already, that's wonderful. And this, I believe, will be a wonderful opportunity for you to be in that space with them, to receive healing. If you are not ready to meet your dragon familiar, this is also a safe space to be in. You do not need to go through that guided meditation. You can sit in that space with us as we go through that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that either. The intention is often the most important part of any healing. It's really the hand that is on the steering wheel for all healing sessions, from my experience. So the intention that we're going to be holding will be connecting with our dragon familiar to receive healing. So that intention is really what we're going to be striving for tonight. If we do feel, if I do feel called that we're in a really, a space to transition to some other group healing work, we may do a small Mother Gaia healing session in that space as well with our dragons. We may be able to send some really powerful healing to Mother Earth. So if that's something that I feel we have the space and the capacity to do, we can do that as well. So we'll see how we're feeling at that. What to expect. The guided meditation is going to be something that I'll take you through a visual guidance to bring us to a place of safety and where that healing will be taking place. Again, the dragon's breath behind me, these are also referred to as the mists of Ratanan, as Kieran would call them. These are very important mists. The dragon's breath really represents the potential of everything, the ability to be able to dissolve the things that are no longer necessary in our lives, to be able to create the things that we need in order to move forward on our path. The mists are often referred to as the mists of infinite potential and transformation. So those are going to be some things that we work with, and I'll be guiding us through that. Some things to expect: you may feel different temperature changes. Sometimes working with dragon energy can get very warm. That's not an uncommon thing. Dragon energy can be very fiery sometimes. But this is not a fire that is going to hurt anybody. This is not a flame that will burn the skin. This is a flame that is going to hold you safely while you release what is ready to be released, and while you heal and integrate what's ready to be integrated and healed. So the dragon's breath is an aspect of our healing tonight. And while you may connect with your dragon familiar, you may not see your dragon. You may feel them, you may hear them, you may smell them. And again, everybody is different. So nothing, and you also may be in the place where you might not experience anything, and that's okay. That is completely fine. And if you don't experience anything tonight, that doesn't mean that you're not integrating healing energy. That doesn't mean you're not unblocking and releasing things that are ready to be released. You just may be experiencing that in a way for a particular reason, and that's on your soul's journey, and you will discover that before you know it. After we get done with the guided meditation, I'll bring us in for a nice final grounding and closing. And we can ask questions. We can also discuss what was the experience like, and that's often some of the most fun times for us, is to really reflect on how the experience was. So that's really what I would like to do. If we're all feeling comfortable with that, I think we're doing pretty well on time right now, which is right where I wanted this to be, which is great. Does anybody have any preliminary questions or concerns? We do have the time for it, so I'm okay for just a quick little stop before we do the meditation. How's everybody feeling? Barbara's feeling good. Any questions from the group? I know we've got some awesome people in here, so if you do have a question, please let me know. Let me go back here. I do have a little bit of music, so I will get that music ready. So before we get started here, let me just make sure that I have everything all set.
Here's a question for you. What is the biggest difference between Reiki and Pendragon Reiki?
That is an excellent question. So from my experience, Pendragon Reiki is connecting with the elements of Earth and Mother Gaia in a very different way than I think a lot of other Reikis do. And I can only speak to Pendragon Reiki because that is actually the only Reiki I have ever experienced. So if that helps a little bit, I can't necessarily speak to all of the different Reiki modalities that are out there. I'll say that Pendragon, you're really going to feel, or that the elements are essentially what's really holding that frequency for us. This connection with Mother Gaia, the levels of dragons are safekeepers of consciousness. You know, these symbols that Kieran has created for Pendragon Reiki are to allow us to be in that safe space for ourselves consciously, so we can access those different things that we're looking to heal on our journey. You know, I believe everybody has, in a sense, that guardian angel, that guardian dragon is also an aspect. And your dragon familiar can often be referred to as your guardian dragon. They do have different titles, but they can often be one and the same. I hope that answered your question. If not, I can try to do a little better explaining.
It might be easier after we've experienced the energy, people that have experienced other types of Reiki. I've not experienced Dragon Reiki yet, but I have other types.
Okay, well, if we're all feeling really nice, I am going to just start a little bit of music, and then I will get us started here, okay? And I just want to make sure that we can hear the music okay, and I'll get that started here. Let's make sure. Is anybody hearing the music right now? No, nothing on that? Okay.
I know sometimes it's difficult sharing music, but
Oh, now, are we getting anything for the music here?
Somebody said they thought I heard a cat meow.
Well, that's a good thing. We always love cats.
Cats, yeah. I know there's some trick with on these platforms, but I never know.
Just going to do a quick little check here. If I can't find it, we can do this without the music. For Barbara, do you have the ability to play music of any kind?
Now you're asking me to do.
Oh, no.
I don't on this. No, I don't think on this computer I have access to that. Unless I try my phone.
Well, the beautiful thing is that music is a nice little addition, but it is not required to do healing. So I know the music would have been nice, but we can certainly be in this safe space together, and I can guide us through this meditation still. Just check one more thing and we will get started, everybody. I really do appreciate your patience and your time tonight.
That's right. We always have there's always something.
Well, I will do better next time, and I'll get us great music for the second go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's to do with settings, but
Yeah, I know there's a lot of things that you can play with in Zoom, and I will have to get better acquainted for the next time we do this, so we don't have the little music hiccup. But maybe we weren't supposed to have music tonight, is what I'm feeling.
But there's always a reason. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start by doing this. Let's get settled in your chairs. If you're laying down, that's completely fine. If you're standing, that's fine too. And let's just get settled in our seats here. And what I'd like us to start with is let's take a couple nice deep breaths in through the nose and out the mouth. Let's take 2 more, filling up the belly and fully out. 1 more. As your breath comes back to normal, listening to the sound of my voice, reminding yourself that you are here in a safe space tonight. The intention of this healing session is to connect with our dragon familiar and to receive healing for our highest healing and our highest good, so long as that is in accordance with the universe and our higher self, for the good of all, and to harm none. As we continue to breathe, I'd like you to start to visualize a beautiful open field. As you step into this field, you can feel the cool grass beneath our feet. As we continue walking, we recognize the beautiful sun high above us in the sky. Not too hot, just warm, at a comfortable temperature for us. As we're walking, we see beautiful flowers, and dragonflies and bumblebees swirling around us. The sound of birds in the trees to our left. To our right is a beautiful pond, quiet, a few lily pads with frogs on them. We continue walking through the grassy field. We see a small opening through the trees ahead of us. As we continue through this small opening in the trees, we see a beautiful grassy circle. The circle is large enough for all of us to take our own individual seats and rest. As you find your space and settle into your position, remembering that you are safe in this space. I will call in the Pendragon's eye around us, creating this space for us to connect with our dragon familiars. Dragons of earth and sea and sky. Dragons of fire around us fly. Dragons of night and those of gold, come close and let your wings unfold. Dragons of love and those of change, be with us now, then rearrange to dragons of change and those of love. As below, then so above. Dragons one and dragons all, come close and heed our dragon's call. In this space, you can start to feel the warm, beautiful dragon's breath, the mists of Ratana slowly dissolving the floor, the walls, the ceiling above us. Safely in this space, you begin to feel the tails, the wings of the dragon around you. Safely surrounded by their incredible presence. You are here to connect with your dragon familiar. As they fly closely above you, dancing and swirling as they do, as the mists continue to glow, our dragons slowly start to raise us off the ground, high into these mists. As your dragon wraps their wings around you, hold you, you begin to feel a sense of ease. With your intention and connecting with your dragon, you are now releasing what you are ready to release. Your dragon slowly begins to breathe its beautiful flame over you, encompassing you, surrounding you, and filling you and your energy with their beautiful flame. As our dragon continues to guide us through these mists, we begin to open our eyes and we see a beautiful temple in the clouds. This is the Pendragon Reiki temple. As our dragons slowly guide us to these steps, they're smooth steps, white with golden marble. As we continue up these short steps, not too many, we begin to see the beautiful red carnelian walls of the Pendragon Temple. Our dragon assists us as we move into this temple, which is safeguarded by 9 columns high, surrounding a beautiful central flame in the room. As we enter this room, your dragon will guide you to your seat, and you may rest even further. Looking at the beautiful columns of red carnelian, we feel a sense of ease and tranquility and peace in this space. The central flame, the brazier, burns a beautiful golden flame. This flame is here for us today. As we continue to release what is ready to be released, we allow the golden flame to transmute these things for our highest good and our highest healing. Your dragon, flying and swirling above you as they do, calmly reminding you that you are in a safe space today. Together, we all start to see the beautiful Mother Gaia, represented as the beautiful globe that she is, slightly above the golden flame in the center of the room. For the next few minutes, I would like you to extend your love and compassion to Mother Gaia. May we give to her the love that she deserves during this time, so that she may let go of what is no longer needed. And as your dragon guides you, sending this energy to beautiful Mother Gaia. Sending this healing to where it is needed most. As we continue sending this loving energy, our dragons begin to sing and dance high above us, above the Pendragon Temple. Their colors vibrant, their scales glowing. This time, we may slowly begin to feel the seat beneath us in the Pendragon Temple. As we see the golden flame in the center of the room, we sense the healing energies that are being integrated to Mother Gaia, and she thanks you. Your dragon slowly begins to walk you down the stairs from which we entered the Pendragon Temple. Slowly and safely, the dragon begins to pick you back up into the air and fly into the mists once more. The beautiful mists, the dragon's breath, holds you close again. I would like you to heal and send energy to what is ready to be healed. As your dragon breathes its beautiful flame over you, sensing their love and compassion for you on the journey you are on. They are here for you. All you must do is ask. Slowly and softly, the dragon begins to bring you down through the mists, back towards the ground in the grassy circle in which we started. We may rest with our dragons by our sides. We are grateful for their presence. At this time, we thank our guardian and dragon familiars for the space that we have been able to connect with them. As they swirl and dance and sing, they slowly fade away into the mists. Here in the space, listening to my voice, we slowly begin to stand in the spots in the grassy circle. As we return out through the trees in a small gateway, back into the beautiful open field surrounded by flowers. We slowly begin to walk back here and now into this room. And as the mists slowly fade away, with no rush at all, bringing wiggles to our toes, our fingertips, breathing in more deeply, rolling our shoulders, relaxing our neck. When you are ready, you may open your eyes. Taking your time, a nice sip of water if you have some.
That was different. That it's always different when you experience, but that was amazing. Somebody else said that.
So thankful to hear that.
Well, yeah.
I know sometimes the introduction to the dragon familiar can be quite beautiful, and I'm very thankful to hold that safe space for us today. And just wanted to say thank you all for being here again.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if anybody else want to share their experience. I can tell you, I could feel the different energy. I think, I mean, I work with Mother Gaia, so it was very familiar energy. But going up to that temple, I mean, I I was dancing around here, and I got a lot of light language download. I mean, it was that intense that I had to get up, and I was, so I had lots of light language downloads, which was beautiful. And I actually encountered a silver galactic dragon with piercing green eyes. So that was
Beautiful.
nice. Don't be shy.
I thought it was really wonderful as well. I found it to be very relaxing, and I saw a lot of colors. Started off with a lot of rainbow until we got to the temple, and then I saw a red and orange dragon myself. And then when we were leaving, I was actually exited and escorted out by a golden dragon. So I thought that was really cool that I got to see and experience more than one, along with so many bright, vivid colors while it being so relaxing. It was a really beautiful experience.
Thank you. Who was it asked if the difference between, was it Debbie? How did that feel from regular Reiki?
Yeah, that's totally different than
Yeah.
regular Reiki. Where in regular Reiki, I feel weird saying regular. It's more on bringing in the energies of, like, the earth, universal energies, through feeling it going through you, through your person you're working with, or the animal you're working with. So yeah, this was very unexpected. This was very unexpected. I've worked a lot with dragons myself. I am a dragon. My original higher self is dragon. My first incarnation is dragon. I'm
Oh,
very familiar
somebody's
with.
sharing the screen. And
Huh?
you're sharing your screen.
I don't know how that happened.
Go
I
back
just
to-
stopped sharing mine. I apologize.
Yeah. Go to share screen at the bottom. Or I guess I could always go and change it back to just me.
Is it off?
No.
I don't know.
It is a great picture.
Um, yes, if you go down where the share screen, hit the cursor next to it, and you have to click out of that, I think. If not, carry on talking, Debbie.
So as I was saying, I am dragon. I have many
There you go.
dragons. There you
Yeah,
go.
I don't now. Yeah, I stopped sharing.
Yeah. And so it was interesting for me to see who came of my dragon guardians and friends and such like that, that I do have a black dragon, and I was not actually expecting him to show up. And he came, and he just stayed by my side the whole time, and he is very much into healing the dark shadows. So that tells me I got some more work to do on me, obviously, if he's coming during a Reiki session. So, but no, it was very beautiful. I love the imagery of it, really felt there. And yeah, it was very different, but it was awesome. It's a wonderful experience. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing, Debbie. I'm grateful you had such a nice experience. Anybody else feeling like they can share their experience or type anything in the chat? Any questions? And if not, that's okay too.
I will say that I told you earlier that I did Holy Fire Reiki, which is different to we want to call it regular Reiki, but so it felt something like that. But I would say it's more ground, because Mother Gaia's there. It's much more grounded, and I think, as Debbie says, when you're bringing the energy into yourself to flow through you to somebody else, that's different to actually having that more ethereal experience, I guess. But it felt similar to Holy Fire Reiki, I would say, because you can hold that space for more people. But I also I had a few animals show up as well. I often see eyes, but I also recently experienced some more galactic things as well. So they often show up. I have a white lioness that shows up, and she's
Wonderful.
Always, yeah. And I think that was you saying as well. I liked what you said about that you can also heal or send energy to animals of the past, because we meet so many of those, right? And I always feel like that. I always want to say, "Oh, I'm sorry." So now that sounds nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, the energy it's always something that I'm honored to hold space for, whether it's as an individual, for myself, or for us as a group, and for the animal kingdom and Mother Gaia. It's really beautiful that we have that opportunity to work with such healing energies. And again, I'm very grateful to be here for all of you. as a resource, if you're interested more in Pendragon Reiki, I can certainly send you some information, and I can type into the chat. I'll put Kieran Morgan's website in here because there's a lot of beautiful information on his website, and he's actually doing a really beautiful series right now. I believe he's onto the 4th elemental dragon of Pendragon Reiki, so he's doing a small series of videos to really dive into the individual elements and that dragon in particular, and the aspects of that element of Pendragon and what it's really kind of the nuts and bolts, I guess, is the easiest way to explain it, really diving inward to feel the difference in those different points of energy and what those elements mean to Pendragon Reiki. So I'll put his website in the chat here. Let me do that if anybody's got any other questions or anything like that.
I do have one more question for you, Alan. How do
Yes.
you, with a client, how do you use this? Do you go through the same thing that we do, or is there something else or more? And
That
I
is a great
also
question.
with you, whenever I see a hurt animal or a dead animal, I send Reiki back to take away their pain and suffering and wish them into happy, healthy, loving, wonderful place for them. Because
Yes,
I love
that's
animals
beautiful.
and people.
Yes. Yes, and so Pendragon Reiki, I use it slightly very similar to what we did tonight. It's very much holding that safe space for individuals. The intention of connecting with our dragons isn't always the central intention. It may be a very specific intention for healing a specific aspect, and that's something I typically will establish with the client beforehand. After that, it's, again, I serve as that channel for individuals. It's not me that's healing any individual. It's me holding that space for them to heal themselves and connect with that healing energy. I find that Pendragon Reiki is really beneficial for a lot of different healing aspects, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. It can have effects on all of those different levels. I personally have experienced very deep spiritual healing through Pendragon Reiki. I've also experienced really beautiful mental healing aspects, and that's for me. Everybody again is going to experience Pendragon Reiki differently, but I really love to use it for the individual healing sessions. Like I had said at the beginning, Pendragon Reiki is hands-off modality. You don't need to be in that physical space with someone. However, you can, and I do Pendragon Reiki in physical space with people without needing to place my hands on them. However, I do also work with Kieran. So, Kieran lives in Wales, and I'm all the way across the pond here in Rochester, New York, and we work together quite frequently. And again, there are different levels to Pendragon. So what I would say was today we were experiencing more of the clearing aspects of Pendragon Reiki, really letting go of what's ready to be let go, and obviously healing what's ready to be healed. There are different aspects as well. There's balance. Balance is really the next aspect that we would work on in a Pendragon session. That can be a little bit deeper. That typically is going to dive into some of the I guess deeper is the right word. The deeper things that we're facing as individuals, our challenges, our traumas, things like that, and that nature. And then there's also aspects beyond what I've learned at this point. Kieran is still building that foundation for the next levels of Pendragon, and he holds it very near and dear to his heart. Being guided by Merlin and the different aspects that he's connected with the Merlin is really the deep inner work that he's doing. He does a lot of violet flame work. He's an incredible healer, an incredible individual. I'm very honored to be his apprentice and to be able to hold the Pendragon flag high and proud, because I really do believe it is here to help many individuals and groups of individuals. So I'm very thankful to share more information. I do hope that I can come back on for a Pendragon Reiki, number 2, and I'll get the music right that time, and we'll have some more tranquility in our session. But no, I'm very grateful to be here with everybody. Again, thank you for the comments and the questions, and I hope everybody's had a really great experience.
Yeah, and absolutely you can come back, right? And as I think I told people before that, my intention was to do these monthly, and I originally said, I don't know anybody. I don't know, who am I going to invite? And I'm already booked through February next year. And every time I meet people, I'm like, do you want to come up? But it's next year. So it's surprising, right? Oh, so Elizabeth said, yes, I would love another session. So absolutely, I think, and we're all evolving, right? So what we were doing, and actually what I found interesting when you said that so many people I've met have only just met their dragons, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that have been working with dragons for 30 years, but there's a lot more of us that they've come in the last, since COVID. Like COVID seems to have, there was an uptick there. I mean, mine was only just over a year ago. It feels like a long time. And I was also excited to hear that he works with Merlin, because Merlin has been with me for many years. So Merlin's everywhere. He loves to have his hand in everything. He's
That is true.
He does. He has a great sense of humor, Merlin. Somebody asked me the other day, I was in a group and they were like, oh, do you want to channel anything? And I was like, no. And all of a sudden Merlin came through, which is one of the first times I've actually channeled him. But he loves to do that sort of stuff. And then he's like really funny about, oh, you weren't expecting that, were you?
Yes, he is quite fantastic with the work that he does, and that's also another thing that I'm grateful for, being able to learn these different ascended masters that are here to help us. I know that a lot of us do receive their messages in different ways, or receive their intuitive nudges in that sense, and it really is amazing when you can connect with such grand individuals who have helped us in so many ways. So Merlin being one of those for sure.
Yes. And so what I found out from some of these ascended masters, so that was what I was originally doing, was I was channeling ascended masters, and I didn't know the reason, which often we don't. But then I got connected to dragons, and a lot of ascended masters shapeshift into dragons, right? So Merlin does. Merlin is Merlin the dragon. And it was, I mean, I have these aha moments when I'm like, well, I don't know why I was doing that. But then the connection comes and says, yeah, we were taking you to the ascended masters so that you can work with that energy. So I always find it amazing. And there's no books. That's the other, there's not that many books about dragons. So you can't say, go and look this up.
Yeah, that's true. And, again, I think that we're starting to get those things, the books, the Energy Healers Oracle. That's one of the new books that I think is a great tool for people who want to learn more about, connecting with these different aspects, whether it's dragon energy or ascended masters or, different energy healing modalities. There's such a beautiful shift happening right now. And I know that in my heart that the people that are here to help are here. They are here, and we have to be brave enough to ask for that help. And that's the challenge for a lot of us, is we have to be willing to ask for that help. And that's something that the dragons kind of came through today. Like, we are here, but you need to ask. And that's really the part where we can step into our own authentic self and our true self, our power that resides there. And that beautiful soul's journey that we're all on. The dragons are here to help us. The angels, the ascended masters, those different aspects that we connect with, they're here for us. And if you ask, you will receive something.
You will. Yes. Yeah. And I think, you're saying that you have to ask. I was sharing with you earlier that the dragons, like when they first, I think they get so excited that they've connected with a human, that it can get overwhelming. And I was telling Alan just before you all came on that what the dragons told me was they are going to step back and allow me to connect with them, because they've realized they were a little bit overwhelming. Because like you said, they come in and then they're like, they want to work with you. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute, I need to, and I didn't know how to say, can you stop? Which obviously we can say that. So now I can hear them laughing, and they're saying, yeah, you should have learned that, right? So there's me going, I don't know how to sort all this out. And they're like, just come to us when you're ready. So
We got you.
we've got you. We're right here. Yeah. And of course, I got that beautiful message, which was remember the angels. And sometimes we're so excited about all this other stuff, we forget the angels. So.
Yeah, no, and the angels are very important, and they do work with the dragon energy as well. A lot of ascended masters, as you just said, transform into, their dragon form or their dragon aspect. Oftentimes what I've learned as well is that dragons can sometimes dive more deeply into those layers of energy. That's one of their abilities. Not that angels don't have that ability, but it can sometimes be harder. So the dragons really tend to show up in their strength in that form, really diving deeply into those layers of consciousness that need to be healed. So that's one aspect that they do perform very well. Yeah, a beautiful dragon time for us, though. That is for certain. I think you're muted, Barbara.
Because I mute myself, yeah. Does anybody else have any other questions or want to talk about anything else? Well, while you're thinking about it, I will tell you that next month, which I still can't believe we're in the middle of September, we're fortunate that Kevin from England, who started the Dragon Thunder, is actually we're going to be meeting with him on Sunday, the 8th of October, which is Dragon Day. I snagged him a couple of months ago and said, you can't do anything else. You need to come and talk to us. And I hope he does one of his guided. Alan and I were saying that if you've not gone onto Kevin's website, Kevin Humphreys, I'll put his information there. He is a shaman and he does a beautiful Meet Your Dragon meditation. It's sort of, yeah, it's a little bit like it's going into the field, but he does, like a lot of shamans do, you go down, usually you go down a hole. And he's got he does a lot of free stuff as well around dragons and shamans. So again, I'll put that in. And you're also going to put the name of that book in.
Yes, let me type some of that information in right now.
So I will, as soon as probably tomorrow, I will start putting on my email about Kevin. But one of the things when you're working with people in England, you have to remember the time difference. So we're going to be meeting on a Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m., which is 7 p.m. UK time. So it's just a little bit. And then I also have connected with somebody else in England who in February, same thing. She's going to come and we'll do it on a Sunday. Sometimes Sundays are good for people, especially when it's in the winter, I think. And then, so who else do I have? So I also have, I'm not sure where Dean, you may know, I think Dina's she's from upstate New York, Solely Dina. She does light language and she paints dragons. And I took she does sort of, again, light language. She sings, she sings dragon songs. So yeah, so she's in December. And then I've got somebody in November she's not quite sure what she's talking about. I've been introduced to her by somebody else. And she was like, maybe I'll talk about dragonflies. And I was like, whatever. So we've got some interesting people coming on here. And of course, if any of you have anything that you want to, you're welcome to come and spend an hour talking to us. Because I think that's, we're a community where we need to keep sharing all of our talents.
Yeah, I put a few things in the chat there. The one was for the Energy Healers Oracle Tools for Transformation. That book is available on Amazon. Also, I put Kieran Morgan and the Brother of Dragons. His website is brotherofdragons.co.uk. I also put my website up there, which is wellnessandwonderhealing.com. And I'll also just put my email address in the chat real quick. If you have any questions, you can always just shoot me an email. I would love to be here as a resource for anybody, even someone that you may think is interested in, dragon healing or dragon energy, or learning more about Pendragon Reiki. Please, send me a message. I would love to talk and communicate with you. Again, thank you so much for everybody tonight. Your space and your time is very valuable, and I'm very honored to hold that safe space for your healing. And I look forward to doing it soon in the future.
Yes, that'd be great. And so this is recorded, which I will turn off in a moment. And I will send it out probably by the weekend. I've got to get my friend to whatever she does, the magic she does with it. It's not my fault. None of this stuff is. I'm still in. It's like, okay, I can do this. But thankfully, it's easy for some people.